So we are nearly at the end of 2024, and I thought this week I would play you back one of the episodes, which was definitely one of the most popular episodes of the Mainly Minology podcast this year, and certainly received probably the most amount of feedback from listeners, both on podcast channels and also on YouTube. People were fascinated by what Raghida Shaman had to say about the fascinating world of twin flames. So have a listen.
All right. So before anything else, I'm just going to introduce to you the wonderful Raghida Blaney, who is going to be our guest on this week's show. But the energy has been quite chaotic. I've had Jonty barking. I've been getting text messages. So why don't we just start with 3 deep cleansing breaths, okay? So let's do anyone who's listening, and Raghida if you want to. So in through the nose, hold, out through the mouth, hold, in through the nose, hold, out through the mouth, hold, in through the nose, hold, and out through the mouth. Hold, and just breathe normally. So that's a good energetic reset for us and for anybody who's listening. So Raghida Blaney, welcome to the Mainly Minology podcast. Let me just read your bio to everybody so that everybody knows who you are, and then I'll explain how it is that you have come to be on the Mainly Minology podcast, because we've invited you, and I'll explain why. So Raghida is a planetary twin flame consultant, a new earth healer, shaman, and 12D Ascension Activator, which sounds amazing, who's been practicing around the world for 25 years, even though she only looks about 30. She is passionate about the awakening of the individual and collective divine feminine, which I am as well. Her passion is to facilitate change and bring every soul she touches back to harmony, peace, and equilibrium within. So hopefully we can do that today for me, because you'll be touching my soul. She has undertaken tens of thousands of private sessions and workshops, and has now consolidated her knowledge in her newly released Twin Flame and Divine Feminine online masterclass, which sounds amazing. She does not teach anything she has not mastered. So that's great. So, Raghida, let's go through all of this step by step. Let's talk about what you do. Let's talk about first about being a planetary twin flame consultant. Now, what does that mean?
The word twin flame has been going around like a buzzword, and I'm sure you've heard it a lot, Yasmin, as well. But the true twin flames are here for the ascension of the planet. They're actually quite rare, but they're here purely. They started in around 2011 was the main kind of awakening. Of course, they've been here a lot longer, but the main activation for the earth to awaken, because we're all in kind of like that subconscious a sleep state then. So since 2011 and 2012, when we spoke about the end of time, but that was actually the end of the illusionary time and the end of Pisces, coming in, as you know, one cycle on into the age of Aquarius. The twin flames were awakened. They are 2 bodies with one soul DNA blueprint. So that basically when they meet, they activate the gifts of one another, and of course the wound body, the pain body, but their whole role for the main mission is to anchor unconditional love on the earth, to assist the ascension of Mother Earth, and to awaken all the planet according to what their DNA light codes are carrying. Very specialized role.
Keep going. Tell us more. How do you meet your twin flame? How do you know if you've met your twin flame? What do they look like?
Yeah, fantastic question. Anyone that tells you that they'll prepare you to meet them, run the other way. You can't plan it. It's something that is orchestrated by the soul. So it's a soul awakening rather than a 3D, i.e. it's not a physical. Your soul recognizes that person through the physical body. So it's a soul ascension energy. When you meet that person, something within you is no longer the same. It's like they deconstruct, they become your mirror, your deconstruction mirror for your old worlds and your old karmic, genetic, and ancestral lineage issues that need to be healed. And they're also the mirror to bring in your divine gifts, your divine wisdom, your ascension codes, and of course the carrying of the 144 DNA light codes for the new earth. Because the twin flames, the true ones, are all about mission, and usually mission precedes union. A lot of them come in and say, oh my God, I want to be with him or I want to be with her. But the true role of twin flames, especially the ones that are working on the planetary level, are to anchor the earth into the rebirthing of Gaia, to activate the ascension codes on the planet so everybody begins to awaken and ascend to their higher octaves, and also to bring in the new templates of relationships and old archetypal kind of templates of like what you're seeing now with the deconstruction of banking. With it's they're all about exposing truth, bringing the energy of truth on the planet, and reliving the times of golden Atlantis and golden Lemuria of unconditional love. That's really what we're moving into, this age of light for the next 2,000 years as we're in the photon belt. So twin flames have that role, or leading part of the leadership team, as well as star seeds, as well as the Pleiades. Like there's so many rays. There's 7 rays. Twin flames is one of the rays.
Right. So have you met your twin flame?
I actually have. That's why like I said, I probably wrote, I don't teach anything I haven't mastered, because unless you've been through the journey, it's very hard to teach something you haven't been through. When you've been through it experientially, it's different to knowing it theoretically.
Oh, am I allowed to ask who is your twin flame?
At the moment, because of the planetary work he's doing in a very sensitive part of the world, certain things have to be kept sacred, if you know what I mean.
Okay, no, you don't have to give the name, but can you sort of say, was it a friend, a partner, a teacher, a neighbor?
Yeah, so actually I've known my twin all my life. We were kind of born. We've had very parallel lives. Born in the same town. We were best friends very, very young, separated for a good 15 to 17 years. Then we met. But we didn't know about twin flames then. I think we've been what we call anchor twins. So the anchor twins have been here on the planet, and you'd know other anchor twins like Yoko Ono, John Lennon. There's so many of them that are well known. These were the anchor twins. They're the old twins that were here on the planet working kind of incognito until 2011. 2011 was a very, very formative year. That's when the 1111 codes began to awaken on the earth, and that was a catapulting of recognizing who we are. So we reconnected at that time, not knowing what it was. We've known each other all our life, but in and out of each other's lives, not knowing what it was, and it got reactivated during that period of time. And since then, we've been working a lot on the light grids of the earth, so assisting specifically with ascension and anchoring earth from 3D into the 5D codes.
And is it a purely platonic thing, or is it a romantic thing, or what is it?
It can be romantic. I think when there's other circumstances in the way, sometimes you have to move that to the side. So there's 2 components to a twin flame. There's the light work that they do, and then there's the love that they do. And they are what you would call your most perfect partner on every level. But the light codes come first if that's what the earth needs, especially if they're still completing 3rd dimensional plane connections or agreements or contracts that they still haven't completed. You've got there's almost like a 2-pronged approach here. So the ascension, the mission of the planet happens first, the unification of the soul comes after that. But for other twins, they need to be in union in order to anchor. It depends on what your codes are. There's so many variations on this. Many variations.
Does everyone have a twin flame?
You know what? They do. Absolutely. So when people say to me, well, how come there's only some people that do? I said, everybody does. The difference is your twin flame on the earth at this time? And if they are, you'll be reconnected with them, usually for ascension or for your own evolution, for the evolution of your one shared soul frequency. But many twins are not on the same earth. So there might be your spirit guide at this time, or they might be on the other side. So one is in one physical plane, or one is another dimensional reality. If they're both here on the earth, at some point, because of your evolution, you will cross paths. It's not something you can prepare for. It's soul orchestrated. The soul brings it
But it's
online.
not. But it's because people tend to think it's romantic. It's always romantic, but it's obviously you're saying it's not.
No, it can be very much so. It can be, because you know why? The soul yearns to be one and feel the expression of the oneness of the soul in a physical body. So the kundalini gets activated through the sexual energy of the twin flames, 100%. In most cases, if they have other, let's just say both are in marriages and neither are prepared to leave the marriage because the contract may not be over, for example, then they will have a platonic connection but do the light work. So it's a connection beyond the physical plane. This connection transcends time, space, and dimension. The soul doesn't need physicality, nor does it need time, nor does it need to be in matter. It connects beyond time and space. It's a
And
higher
so,
level
and when you say, these twin flames will come together and do the work together and
yeah.
so on, do they have to know what they're doing, or can they do it without knowing?
What fantastic question, Yasmin. So what happens is when they meet, there's like a spoke of light between them that gets activated, and the codes are dormant. I know it's quite fascinating, actually.
Yeah.
It's more quantum physics. So they have these, like, what I want to call them, like codes, like dormant codes, like a chub code. And as soon as they meet, those chub codes get activated between them. And every twin will tell you this. They'll feel it in every spark of their body, in every chakra. And you go from the 5D to the 12D chakra system or like almost instantly. You go through this process of just everything begins to get illuminated, activated, awakened, ascended. It's like you activate each other by the soul's consciousness. So yes, it is dormant until you meet. And when you meet, it gets activated and your mission comes online. You just know. It's a knowing. It's a soul knowing. It's already encoded, and it gets activated upon re-meeting on the Earth's dimensional plane.
And so in your case, because you knew your twin flame as a kid, when did you realize that was your twin flame?
2012. The energy surge that was coming through my body, I couldn't explain it. His voice. So twins not only activate through physicality, they can activate through voice, through sound, through frequency, because like I said to you, it's not a physical thing. It's a soul orchestrated energy that happens to you. So this energy surge moves through your body and you don't know what it is. I didn't know what it was. At that time, twin flames was more of a rarity. I was probably one of the first few that awakened on the planet, and it shocked my entire system. I didn't know how to handle it. I went through quite a massive deconstruction on a lot of levels. You go through a lot of shamanic deaths, a lot, because what it does, it makes you confront the truths of your life, remove the veils, remove the masks, remove the illusion of what you've been living in order to become authentic and walk in this world as an authentic, transparent being. So you go from being a Homo sapien to Homo luminous being, like a body of light. And for many of us now who've done the work, and I feel we're all on that track now, Yasmin, many of us are actually moving into the Galacticus energy, which is our multi-dimensional cosmic being. That's already being activated through the twin flame coding, the light workers, the star seeds, the Lyran stargates, through the Pleiades. There's quite a few, the shamans, even the astrologers. All of us are doing the light work to activate and ascend the earth to the new codes that we're moving into.
And so are you saying then that just by meeting your twin flame and having this light code activated by the connection, the physical connection, that kind of does what the planet needs for ascension without you having to do anything consciously?
So when you first meet them, it's unconscious, and by their sheer being, as literally as I'm telling you, the light and the love that gets poured between these two souls begins to awaken. And once we awaken, it becomes very conscious. So we've got like what I call a spoke of light. I teach this in the Divine Feminine Masterclass. There's a spoke of light, like a wheel. You know, a wheel, it's got the spokes. Literally, and every twin who I've dealt with has shared a very similar experience with me, where what happens is spoke of light begins to turn. It's like it's like we've got our 10 or 12 lifetime masteries that are encoded in our DNA. When we meet them, those codes or those spokes get activated, they get turned on, literally turn on mechanism. Each spoke begins to feed into your DNA and your gifts come online. So you'll find that you're able to do things you weren't able to do before. You'll find that you'll go places and you have deja vu constantly, where you will start doing things or speaking a language you've never spoken or do things in a different culture you've never done before, but yet you know it like it's innate. So all your innate abilities come online from past lives. And I've seen on average 10 to 12 spokes come online. So it brings on a lot of multidimensional gifts. And that's why they become incredibly gifted in what they do, because we activate the highest timeline without meaning to, just by the sheer connection, by what we call the push-pull dynamic. We go through a push-pull where there's a lot of pain when there's a push-pull that comes in that draws you back into yourself, and you start working on your inner yin-yang. You start to solidify your inner feminine and inner masculine into solidarity, into equanimity. And that's the build-up. You start working with your own inner sacred marriage. That's how
And
the
so
gifts come on.
And you said that with twin flames, there can also be a lot of pain. What's
Correct.
that about?
So when you first meet your masculine counterpart, and I'm not talking about masculine as a man, because sometimes the soul is androgynous. It has a yin and a yang component. Each soul is androgynous. Sometimes the feminine soul is the one that he recognizes her first. The masculine recognizes her first. He activates her usually with a code, i.e., music, his voice. He might look at her in the eye, and it activates something within her soul. The feminine then gets awakened and begins to chase. In the chasing, the masculine feels an overwhelming sense of love that he's never felt before and can't hold it, and usually will very quickly retract and withdraw from the connection. With that, the feminine feels a severing in her soul that is painful beyond words. It's like a deep soul core wound that he activates within her to begin her healing. From her wounds, she moves into wisdom, but it's a process. It's a process of doing her own yin yang, working with her inner wounds, her inner lineage, her inner shamanic energy, her inner karmic, her inner genetic issues that need to be healed and fixed. The feminine goes through the healing first. It gets mirrored to the masculine in the 5D, i.e., at the level of soul, and then he begins his journey.
Of healing.
Once journey, yes, they go through a deep healing transformation to come into the truth of who they are and to activate. Because you get treated quite badly, you still learn to love them irrespective of the treatment. And you know, the best quote I can think of for this, Yasmin, it's interesting you brought this up. I remember reading by Mother Teresa. She said, you have to keep loving someone until, through the pain, you keep loving them until the pain becomes love. It's that deep. They
I mean,
connect.
and that would explain the unconditional love aspect as well. If you still love someone after you've been through all that pain. And so
Correct.
what happens then? So she starts healing, or the feminine starts healing, the masculine starts healing, and then what? Do they come back together, or do they stay apart?
Yes.
Or
So usually they do, once they both can hold it. Because I tell you why, if they come back too early, and I've seen this happen, and I work a lot with twin flames on this, if they come back together too early, before it's ready, they can burn their circuits. You know why? The feminine is a magnetic force. The masculine is an electrical force. So when the electromagnetic force, if it's not in the right frequency coding, the circuits burn out and the push-pull gets even further away. So they do this dance. They come back in and test to see where it's at, and then they withdraw. There's a dance. There's like a sacred dance that happens between them. They check in with each other. Sometimes it's not even through words. It's through telepathy, telekinesis, heart connection. It can also be through coding. Some of them will send each other messages through codes, or through numbers, or through symbols, or through songs. They'll send a message through and they'll say, okay, they'll both get a hit, not ready. And they'll keep doing this dance until the time is right. And then just when it's correct, the soul starts to naturally move its energy in. And the only way you know you're ready is the deeper you are in your own self-love, the closer you are to connection.
yeah, right. And also probably a fair bit of forgiveness in there as well.
A lot of forgiveness. That's so. Are you a twin, Yasmin? Because the questions you're asking, like, on point.
I'm
So
an ex-journalist.
Oh, wow, because you're fabulous. I'm blown away. One of the questions a lot of twins say to me is, Raghida, can you give me one trigger? Please tell me one thing to know that I'm getting close to union. And when you can hold unconditional forgiveness for them, you're very close to union, because what they put you through is absolute hell. But it's not hell because they want to be cruel. They're putting you through the cleanser and the purification of the soul in order for you to come into your highest destiny. So you become literally from carbon to diamond. You become like a diamond frequency, so transparent, so translucent. You carry the grids of love wherever you go. There's just a presence about you. You just bring in energy, and the heart frequency that you carry is enough to shift a whole country when you move into it. That's how powerful they are when they work as a unified force.
So it sounds extremely intense.
Yes.
You've told me you have a teenage son. Would you wish it on him to meet his twin flame?
um, Look, when we went through it, because there was three main waves. I was one of the first waves. The first waves had it the hardest because humanity was the most unawakened at that time. Now the new wave is what I call the third wave, is the current wave. Is they're so sweet. The divine masculine is willing to work. This new generation are a lot more awakened, and they're a lot more softer. You know, Yasmin, my generation, your generation, we were the ones that I would say carried the hardest codes for humanity, because the children that came through us have got the benefit of our growth, and
Yeah.
our parents did. We were the change within the generation. We were not the next generation. The shift of evolution happened within the generation, and it's us, our codes, our age group that did it. So now, yes, I would, because they carry a lot more love. They're a lot more awake. They're a lot more compassionate. There's a lot of things they don't accept that you and I had to go through as young children.
Yeah. So you're saying that you can't orchestrate meeting your twin flame. It's just going to happen. It's not like if you're in London, they're going to be on the tube and that's that person that made you go, oh, and then you never see again. That's not going to be your twin flame.
Look, it can be, and I have a client that actually lives in Bondi, one of my best friends. If you're Pam, if you're watching this, I love you.
Uh-huh.
To London and did meet her twin there 35 years ago. She's one of the anchor twins. But it doesn't work where you go to a course and they say, oh, come, you're going to meet you, because there's so many people out there selling things in the name of twin flame. And it's not true. It just happens to you. The soul will go through a lot of preparation prior to meeting. And when it happens, you will just know it's undeniable. It's unquestionable. It's something that happens to you, through you, from you.
And for you. Talk to me, Raghida, about the shamanic death.
Yes.
Because I've always found that concept really fascinating, that you basically go into the abyss.
Yes.
Explain to people what it is. It seems like it's slightly tied up with this as well, that there can be a shamanic death before the revival or whatever. So
Yes.
talk to us about shamanic death, because it's such a fascinating concept, especially for anyone who's been through a really rough time.
Yeah, exactly. So a shamanic death is where you are taken into the what I would call pits of despair, like the dark nights of the soul. And it's an agony in your soul, in your body, in your bone, in your tissue, in your muscle, in your sinew. That's how well I know it. The shamanic death is a pain that you go through. And really what it is, it's like a purification. It's like a burning of the old, of what no longer serves you. It's a burning of the ego. It's a deconstruction of the masculine energy and the beliefs that were instilled within us that no longer serve us. So it's basically a very painful process, like a rebirth. How I like to put it when I'm doing the sessions is it's almost like, Yasmin, literally is what it feels like. It's like you're going through a rebirth of your soul in this physical body. Rather than transitioning over to the other side, you literally go through a very painful rebirth of your soul within this physicality, within this temple that you're currently carrying. So it's deeply painful, but by God, when you get to the other side of it, you feel this sense of awakened energy within you. You feel this surge of vibrational knowing. You just like a lot of, again, but this is not the heart. It's like all of your light codes in your crown get activated. Your pineal, your pituitary, your hippocampus, your golden triangle, your halo from earlobe to earlobe, literally all pop open after you've been through the shamanic death. When you go through the shamanic death, there's like a void. You're absolutely right. There's a transitional period that we call 0 point. At the 0 point, it's like inertia. It's like there's nothing there and you feel nothing. And for some of you, you are literally going through your ascension, but you might not feel it is. You're thinking, I want to give up. You want to transcend. You want to move on. You say, I just want to get out of here. You feel apathetic. You feel lethargic. You feel tired. You feel this sense of inertia, like nothing's happening. In that time is when the greatest is happening. It's almost like the center that has been put in under the soil for 3 months before the spring hits. You feel like nothing is happening, but what's actually happening is it's cracking open for the seed to come through at the right time. And when you do, it's the transformation you go through. It's like a rising of the phoenix. And you know what? It can happen over and over and over and over again, depending how strong the construct of your ego is. Once you're through it and you're more in your heart space and living from your soul consciousness, less of that begins to occur. So it's really a breaking down from the head to the heart and living from your heart and your soul consciousness.
Yeah, it's an amazing, amazing concept. So, Raghida, tell us also where people can find you.
Yeah, so I'm on Raghida Shaman. I'm both on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. And I've also just done, I don't know if, I think my PA may have told you that I've done some masterclasses, literally an 8-course lesson, online course lessons for twin flames and for the divine feminine rising and awakening, how to embody the 5D feminine on the new earth. I've done masterclasses on my website, www.raghida.com. You're welcome to ask any questions, send it through to admin@raghida.com, or even on the DMs, the girls will help you. But I'm all over social media. So Raghida Shaman is the name. RAGH.
Yeah,
Yep.
RAGHIDA.
Yeah, and
All
Shaman.
right. 2 last questions. One,
Yep.
you can think about this for a second, because then I'll ask you the second question. What do you wish everybody knew? Okay. And the last question, what star sign are you?
Okay, so first question is, I wish everybody knew how beautiful it is when you live in your heart, how everything you want just comes to you. You literally become the word magnetic. You don't even, moves beyond attracting. It just comes to you. If you just allow yourself to move into the heart space, wow, we literally live this. It's like 90% joy. Don't get me wrong, things still come up, but nothing bothers you. We ride through it. It becomes a way to just be more free flowing, living in the heart. That would be my magic, to want to share with everyone, to be in that space, because it's totally divine.
Brilliant. Beautiful.
And I'm an Aquarius.
I knew it. I swear to God, on my honor, may God strike me down. I thought she has to be an Aquarius. Interesting.
What are you, Yas?
I'm Cancerian.
Oh, I love
but I have planets in Gemini which vibe with the Aquarians. And I'm actually just going to ask one more question, because it's something that came up while I've been thinking. So you were talking about how when people they go through the dark night of the soul and then they come out the other side and they've activated their 13 chakras, or their 5D chakras and so on and so forth. And you're calling that like their personal ascension, are you?
Yes. So you know what's wonderful, Yasmin, is that it doesn't need many of us to go through it. And then what happens, because we are a symbiotic being, that as some of us go through it, it begins to assist others just by osmosis. Osmotically, they begin to awaken and ascend through your own awakening. So yes, it's an individual awakening. Through the individual awakening, it moves into the collective consciousness. And it only takes a group of us to do it, and to ascend together, and to hold that collective energy and that collective thought process, and allow that vibration to beam from us. They begin to get it through magnetism, because we're an electromagnetic being through our toric field, from our crown all the way through to our perineum. And, as you know, we've got the circuits within us on both sides, magnetic on the left, electric the right. So yeah, we beam it out. We beam it out, and
Amazing.
that's in it through the individuation process. It becomes a collective process.
Beautiful. All right, Raghida Blaney, thank you so very much for being here with us today.